I'm going to show you how to use personalized AI images in your outreach to help you get clients. So we're going to be building out an N8N automation that's allow us to easily create AI images. And then we're going to create various personalized AI images we can use in our cold email outreach. So the reason why we're doing this is that cold email often has a big problem. And that is most of the cold emails that get sent out often have generic messages, there's no personalization, and what this naturally leads to is a low reply rates. But now, in this era of AI we're living in, we have lots of solutions. And the big one we can use is AI images. So when we create something like this that's completely personalized and unique using AI, what we do is we provide a pattern interrupt. People are like, this isn't like all the messages I'm getting normally. It makes you want to read it. We can see that it's personalized. So here I'm using Alex Hormozy as an example. We'll make it personalized to the person we're reaching out to. The person can see we actually put effort into this email, which makes them want to read it. And at the end of the day, it just feels more fun and human. And all of this leads to positive responses. And if you increase the amount of people that reply to your emails, it then improves everything downstream, including getting more clients. So we're going to dive into seeing how we can use AI and N8N to automate this process. So you're not doing it manually, but you can do it for thousands of leads. So we're going to start off by looking at the AI image templates we're working with. We're going to see how we can use N8N to create these prompts dynamically. And we're going to be using N8N and another platform to create these images. So let's jump into it. The first thing you want to do is if you want to get this full automation yourself, the easiest way to do that is just join my free Skool community. So here we have about 1,300 entrepreneurs trying to learn how to use AI in their business. So go to the classroom section, AI workflows and resources, and you have loads of automations here. Just go to AI images, AI image outreach, and then you can download the automation here. To download it, go to N8N, hit the three dots, import from file, and then you'll be able to get it in. So now let's actually look at the automation and figure out how it works and how we're going to be using this to create these AI images. So let me take you through how this automation works so you can use it yourself. So I've created this automation specifically so that instead of just being able to generate one type of image, we're able to use this automation to create any type of AI image. So if we go back to the examples we've created, I have a bunch of different types of images here, and all of them were created using a single automation. It's easy to create an automation where we're just creating one particular type, then you need a new automation every time you want to create a different type of image. But we've solved that here, and let me take you through how this works. On this trigger for the automation, we have a form. When we have this form, what we're doing is we're basically selecting the type of image we want. So here we have a bunch that I've set up. Once we do that, we're going to be basically getting any reference images we're going to use for this AI automation and any prompts. So this is where the flexibility comes in. Here, I've created basically this AI image database where I've given a name to the different images I would want to create. And then here I have a prompt. So in this case, one example of an image I've used before quite successfully is this coffee cup image. So oftentimes people say, do you want to jump on a call, grab a coffee? I had a campaign where I'd say, I'd buy you a cup of coffee if we just jump on a call. And to show people that this is just not some generic message, I actually got a couple Starbucks coffees, and here you can write the person's name on it. So instead of buying hundreds of Starbucks coffees and manually doing this, what you can do is you can just get AI to write the name on the coffee cup, and it looks really realistic. Like this looks like handwritten. So all of this can be done in a prompt. So this is what we're doing here. We're coming up with our AI image concept. We're giving it a name. Here I'm providing the prompt, and then we want to provide a reference image. So this is the reference image I'm using. And it's going to be an image, zoom in. It's going to be an image of me holding a cup and here it's empty. So this is the setup. And then I basically go through this and I have a bunch of other ideas for images I want to use. So the poster note image is here, similar thing, but instead of choosing a poster note, oftentimes you want to test out lots of different concepts and see what works. And then I have a couple others. Here I have a wanted poster and an action figure. So in these cases, I'm not going to be using a reference image directly. Instead, I'm going to be taking the person's profile picture from their LinkedIn and using that as the image. And that's exactly what's happening here. So here, again, I've used Alex Hormozi as an example. I've taken his LinkedIn picture and I've created this wanted poster just to make the outreach a bit more fun. And I've made a whole video about how you make these, but we're doing this again here, which is action figures. So you say Alex, managing partner, and you can make a joke about it. And the whole point of these images is not to provide some type of value. All we're trying to do is show them that we've put some work into this. We're not just some spammy person going in, sending mass email campaigns. We're using AI creatively to capture their attention and get them to read the email to actually get to our offer. So this is the purpose of these. So you set up all the different types of AI images you want in this table. And then when we go back into our automation, we're basically selecting the image we want. This is the form where you can basically set up the message. Here I've just called it image type, and I've got a drop down of the different names of my image types, and it needs to match exactly what's written here. Once you have this, and I've selected it, at this point, you use a Google Sheets node that basically just gets the data from the Google Sheets we're just looking at, but it only brings back the row of the image type we selected in the form. And we do this using a quick lookup. So this is how this is set up. And you know what? I'm actually going to run this for an image just so you can see the data coming through. So here I've executed the form. Let's just do the coffee cup and I'm going to submit. And then as it's going to go through and work, I can actually show you some data. So here, what we got back is coffee cup. That's the one we selected. Now in this one, what it's doing is it's pulling the name we just put in and it's going to go into our Google Sheets and get back the row that has coffee cup in it. So here is row number 2. Again, the name, the model if we need it, and here is the prompt I prepared. And then any reference images. So that's what we're doing here. Next, we're getting our lead data. So I've just done this in the same Google Sheets to make it easier, but you can have different ones. And here, what you would want is a spreadsheet with a bunch of information about your leads. So I've just put one in, for example, where you really want like their first name, surname, maybe title, company, profile picture, anything really where you want to use a piece of information and add that as a personalization in your picture. Any of that, you want to have this here. So you'd want to be able to create this. And then here, we're just getting back the information on our leads. At this point, what we want to do is create the prompt. And I want to use a combination of the prompt I had created here that tells you how to create the image. But you can see, if you just see at the end, I'm saying first name and I'm leaving these brackets to basically have a way of injecting the first name from my lead data. So I want to have the prompt that describes, what I want to do, like add the name to the coffee cup. But I need to give it the actual name of the lead as well. And this is what we're doing next. So in your prompts, wherever you have an element you want to personalize, you want to have double brackets and you want to write a descriptor here, but this needs to be written in the exact same way as the column in your lead data. You see here where my names is, it says first underscore name, that's how I've written it. When you have it in your prompt, you need to write it exactly like that. So 2 curly brackets, first underscore name, 2 curly brackets. And then the next step of our automation is going to allow us to basically create the prompt where we first take the prompt template we created, then we take our lead data, and then we combine those together to have our full prompt with all the personalized elements we want. And here we're just using a code node to do that. And then we finally get the prompt. So see here, now we actually have Alex in it. So saying this is the first name, and this is what we're going to use to send off to create the images. Here, I just have a quick if node, because sometimes you can see when I'm creating an image, I'm using a reference image. So here I've got a reference image of myself I'm editing. Other times, I'm more using a profile picture to make it personalized to how the person looks like. So they're slightly different. And I wanted to create this automation where I am able to create any type of AI image rather than having 2 separate automations to do either one. So that's what this part does. It says if we have a reference image, use that. If I want to use the profile picture, use that instead. And here in this if node, I'm just in essence saying, if it's a coffee cup, post-it note, or previously I was testing one with presentation, which I'm not using anymore, use the reference image. If not, use the profile picture. So that's what we're setting up here. Now we have our prompt ready and that's completed. The next part is we want to actually create the image. So how do we go about and create this AI image? What I'm using is a service called Fal AI. So this is a great app, and what it does is it basically gives you access to every single AI image or video model out there without needing to subscribe to them. So there's so many image and video models, and they're all great in different ways. But what I don't want to do is go and pay $20 to every single service and then have hundreds of dollars in subscription costs when I only maybe want to use them a few times a month. So this service gives you access to any AI image or video model, and you can just top up some credits and pay for them as you use them. And you get API access. So that allows you to connect it to platforms like NA10. So the image model I'm using specifically here is called Flux Pro Context. So it's a really powerful image model. It's able to do text really well. It's able to have very strong prompt adherence. So it's really good for our purposes. The one downside is it is a bit expensive. It's about 4 cents per lead. So this is just a warning that if you want to do this for like a large amount of leads, that you need to consider cost. So it's probably good when you're doing to a low to medium amount of leads when you're using this particular image tactic. So we're going to be using this model. So the way to set this up in NA10 is I've actually created the HTTP node. So this is basically how NA10 is able to speak to Fal AI and tell them, I want to be able to create an image. This is the prompt, this is data. I've set this up for you, but all you want to do is add in your authorization. So it's telling Fal AI, this is my account, use my credits. And the way you do that is you want to go to authentication, choose generic credential type, go header auth, and here you want to create your own basically authorization key. So I've created mine here. What you do is you want to go in, have this one as authorization, and then you want to add your API key. And I believe you need to do bearer space API key. So let me show you what I mean. If we were to go to API, submit a request, here I'm expecting, here, where it says authorization, not bearer, you need to say key. So you need to literally type in capital KEY space, and then you need to get your API key. And you get your API key, I believe it was in settings. Let's see, account. Then here you go API keys, and then you can add a key or you can copy one if you already have it. So then you get that and you add it in. So this is what you're doing in this part. You're doing KEY, I believe it was a capital K, space, and you're adding in your API key. And then that gives it the authorization. And then the rest, if you download, this automation is set up for you. So see here, we're dynamically pulling in the prompt and the image URL for using a reference image or the profile picture. We're bringing this in. And then here, all we're doing is I've created a loop because when you generate these images, it normally takes a few seconds for it to work. So you're not going to get it straight away. So here is just a loop to say, I'm going to check, has the image been created? If it hasn't, I'm going to wait a little bit and check again. If it has been created, I'm going to keep going. And you can see in this case, it required 2 loops. And I think it was about 10 seconds per loop. And then at this point, what we're doing is we're getting the image from Fal AI. But the thing is, when you're using Fal, you'll get the image and they'll give you a URL to be able to like see the image. But the problem is these URLs expire very quickly. So you don't want to leave your image hosted there. So what I do is to avoid this issue where it expires, maybe I want to send a campaign off in like a day. I don't want it to the link then be broken. I'm using a service called IMGBB. They have a really generous free tier where you can basically use the API and upload images and have them hosted for free. So this is what I'm doing. So you want to create an account here. If you go to here, API key, you can get your API key. Ooh. I've set up the node already. So all you want to do at this point, I have it here. Go to this one and add your API key in this section here. And what this do is it will allow you to basically download your images from Fal AI and then upload it to this new service. And then in the end, we're just re-adding it to our Google Sheets. And that's what we're getting here. Where we have AI images, it just gives you the link to the AI images. You see here, now we have Alex written down. So this is the full automation, how it works. And the power of it is, of course, you're able to generate personalized AI images, but also you have the flexibility where you can just go into your Google Sheets. And then if you want to add a different image or a different prompt, you just give it another name. You describe the prompt. For your lead data, you can maybe add different columns if you want more personalized elements. You can use the double brackets and basically have that as part of your prompt, and then add a reference image if you want. So you're literally just adding in this kind of repertoire of AI images you can use rather than needing a complex automation every single time you have a new idea. So that's what you're able to do here. So I hope you found this useful, and test this out, see how it works, see if you're able to improve your response rates. And the one key thing you want to look out for when you're doing this is when you're sending images, sometimes it can impact deliverability. So you want to make sure you're following all the cold email outreach best practices when it comes to sending emails that have a high deliverability. You want to make sure it's personalized, you're not being sent to spam, your lists are good, you've set up the email infrastructure properly. And assuming you've done all that, you're going to be able to use AI images just fine. And that will really help improve your positive response rates. So yeah, I hope you found this useful. I'll catch you next time.